The phone rings at 2:47 in the morning. You don't answer unknown numbers. You never do. But something about this one feels different. Your hand moves before your brain tells it to. You pick up. Silence on the other end, then a voice. Low. Calm, like it already knows everything about you. You have 11 minutes to decide. After that, we forget you exist. You don't even ask who they are. Because somewhere deep in your gut, you already know. This is the call, the one you were told would never come. The one you were told was just a rumor. 11 minutes. You look around your apartment. The half-eaten meal on the table. The photo of your younger brother on the shelf. The ordinary, forgettable life you've been building for 31 years. You say yes before the 10 minutes are up. That decision is the last, truly free choice you will ever make. You didn't stumble into this world. You were tracked. For years, probably. You just didn't know it. They watched how you handled pressure during your military service. They noted the time you stayed calm while everyone around you panicked. They saw you make a split-second call that saved 4 lives and tell no one about it afterward. No report, no credit, no need to be seen. That was the test. You just didn't know it was a test. The unit has no official name, no budget line in any government document, no address, no badge, no chain of command that anyone could trace. If you search for it, you find nothing. If you ask about it, you get silence. The people inside it don't call it anything. They just call it the unit, and once you're in, there is no out. The first week feels like a mistake. You arrive at a facility that doesn't appear on any map. No signs, no markings. The man who meets you doesn't introduce himself. He just hands you a folder and says, "Read it. Then, burn it." Inside the folder is a new name. A new birth date, a backstory with enough detail to fill a decade. There's a passport, a driver's license, 2 credit cards, and a work history for a man who has never existed. You look up and ask, "What happened to the real me?" He doesn't smile, he just says, "You're looking at him." That night, lying on a cot in a room with no windows, you tell yourself, this is temporary. That it's just a cover. That, underneath all of it, you're still you. You're wrong. But you don't know that yet. Training doesn't begin with combat, it begins with silence. They put you in a room alone for 48 hours. No phone, no book, no clock, just white walls and your own thoughts. Most people break around hour 30. They start talking to themselves, pacing, panicking. You make it to hour 46 before you feel the first crack. Just a small one, a whisper in your chest that says, "I need someone to know I'm here." You don't say it out loud. You swallow it. You press it down. That restraint is what passes you to the next phase. The physical training is brutal but predictable. You've done hard things before. What you're not prepared for is the psychological dismantling. They lie to you. Constantly. They create situations designed to break your trust in your own memory. They run you through a scenario, then show you footage that contradicts what you remember. They tell you your instincts are wrong over and over, until you start to believe it. This is on purpose. An operative who trusts their assumptions too completely becomes a liability. They are teaching you to question everything, including yourself. But here's what they don't tell you. Some people never rebuild after this phase. Some people come out the other side, and the thing they used to call their personality just isn't there anymore. They function, they perform. But something quiet and essential is gone. You start to wonder which type of person you are. The first mission is minor, that's what they tell you. Surveillance on a mid-level financial broker in Vienna. No contact, no intervention, just watch, document, and report. 3 days. You dress like a tourist. You eat at cafes and read newspapers and look like someone on a lazy vacation, but then something goes wrong. On day 2, the broker changes his routine. He ditches his phone in a trash can near the river. He takes a different route. He glances behind himself 3 times in 5 minutes. Someone else is watching him. Someone who isn't you. Now, you have a new problem. You are watching a man who is being watched by an unknown party. Do you report it and wait for orders? Do you pull back and risk losing the target? Or do you keep watching and risk being seen yourself? You make a call. You keep watching. That night you find out the unknown party was another unit. A friendly team running a parallel operation no one told you about. Your supervisor looks at you across a table in a bare room and says, "You held your nerve. Most don't the first time. You don't feel proud. You feel the weight of how close it was. How thin the margin is between good instinct and catastrophic error. That feeling never goes away. You just learn to work inside it. The missions grow. In complexity. In stakes. In the cost they extract from you. You spend 3 months embedded inside a criminal network in Eastern Europe, playing a weapons broker with a fabricated reputation. Every conversation is a performance. Every meal, every handshake, every laugh at the right moment. You are never off. There is no back room where you can drop the mask and breathe, because the mask has to be alive even when you're alone, in case you're being watched. By month 2, something unsettling happens. You stop performing. You stop consciously playing the character. The cover starts to respond automatically. You walk into a room and your body language shifts before your mind instructs it to. You tell a lie and your heart rate doesn't change. Not because you're calm, but because some part of you has stopped registering it as a lie. That's when you realize something no one warned you about. The danger isn't getting caught. The danger is that the cover works too well. The danger is that you get lost inside it. You think it's over. It's not. 3 weeks before extraction, the network leader looks you in the eye over dinner and says, "I know you're not who you say you are." The table goes quiet. Your hand is 3 inches from the knife on the bread plate. Your exit route runs through the kitchen and out the service door. You have 4 seconds to decide if this is a real accusation or a test of loyalty. You laugh. Slow and easy. You lean back and say, "Smart man, so why am I still sitting here?" He studies you for a long moment. Then he laughs too. You complete the mission, but for 2 weeks after extraction, you wake up at 3 in the morning with your hand reaching for something that isn't there. And then there's the cost you didn't budget for. The one that doesn't show up in any briefing. Your mother calls the number she has for you. The one that rings on a device monitored by the unit. She says your father has been diagnosed. Early stages, but still. She says he keeps asking about you. She says he tells people his son is abroad for work. She says she's proud of you. Even though she doesn't know what you do. You listen to the message 3 times. You don't call back that day. Protocol says contact must be limited and controlled. There are things you can't say. Questions you can't answer. And you've learned that half-truths are more painful than silence. So, you choose silence. But silence has a weight, and it accumulates. You visit once, 6 months later, with a cover story about contract work in a country you've never been to. Your father looks smaller than you remember. He shakes your hand like you're a guest in his house. Like he's not quite sure who you are anymore. Maybe he's right. That night, sitting in your childhood bedroom, you look in the mirror for a long time. And you realize you can't remember the last time you looked at your own reflection without calculating how you appeared to someone else. You can't remember the last time you just existed without performing. Year 4 brings the mission that changes everything. A high-value target. A man responsible for the movement of weapons that have killed civilians across 3 continents. The intelligence took 18 months to build. 3 operatives burned. 1 dead. The operation is authorized at the highest level, which means a level so high, it technically doesn't exist. You go in alone. The target is protected. Smart, cautious, surrounded by people who are paid to be paranoid. Getting close requires 6 weeks of groundwork. Under a new cover in a city where you've never operated. Every step is visible. Every contact is a risk. 1 wrong connection, 1 person who recognizes something slightly off about your story, and it ends. But then something goes wrong. Week 3, your support contact goes dark. No signal, no message, no fallback. You are now the only person in the field who knows the full picture, and you have no way to reach anyone above you. You can pull back and risk the entire operation, or you can continue alone. Without a net, you continue. The final approach takes 40 minutes that feel like a decade. Every sense you have is alive. You notice things your conscious mind doesn't process. Until later, a guard's slight hesitation, a door that should be locked and isn't, a camera angle that gives you exactly 12 seconds of blindness. You use all of it. The mission succeeds. You walk out into a cold night, into noise and city light, and the ordinary world that has no idea what just happened, 4 floors above it. You stand on the street and people walk past you and nobody looks at you twice. You are completely invisible. And for the first time in years, that doesn't feel like a skill. It feels like a sentence. They bring you in for a full debrief. 36 hours. Every decision examined, every improvisation questioned. At the end, a man you've only seen twice before shakes your hand and says, "The unit owes you more than it can give you." You look at him and ask, "What does it owe me?" He doesn't answer. They never answer that question. 6 months later, you're sitting in a cafe in a city you chose randomly. No mission, no cover. Just you, a cup of coffee, and the strange, disorienting experience of having nothing to perform. A man sits at the next table with his son. The boy is maybe 7 years old. He's asking his father questions about everything he sees. Why is the sky blue? Why do dogs sniff everything? Why do people shake hands? His father answers every single question, even the ones without good answers. You watch them for a long time. You try to remember the last time someone asked you a simple question about who you are, and you told them the truth. You try to remember the last time you had a conversation that wasn't a transaction or a performance or a calculation. You can't. There's a moment, somewhere in year 5 or 6, when you stop counting missions. Not because there aren't more. There are always more. But because counting implies a beginning and an end, and you've stopped believing in either. The people you trained with are scattered. Some are still operational. Some are retired into covers so deep they probably can't find their way back either. One of them, a man you ran 3 missions with, was officially reported missing by his family 2 years ago. He's not missing. He's just somewhere the world isn't allowed to look. You think about him sometimes. You think about whether he's okay. Whether anyone in the unit asks that question about any of you. You think the answer is no. Not because they don't value you, but because asking that question about a ghost is pointless. Ghosts don't need to be okay. They just need to function. There are nights, still, when you lie in the dark and you try to find yourself. The real one. The one who existed before the first call, before the new name, before the years of looking through windows at lives that weren't yours. Sometimes you can almost locate him. A memory of a laugh that came naturally. A morning when you woke up and didn't immediately assess the room for exits. A moment when you loved someone and didn't wonder what they wanted from you. Then, the moment passes, and you're back to being whoever you need to be. Here is what no one tells you when you say yes to a life like this. The enemies you fight are real. The threats are real. The lives you protect without their knowledge are real. The work matters. None of that is a lie, but here is what is also real. The you that does this work slowly stops being a person and starts being a function. You become the mission. You become the cover. You become the discipline and the silence and the readiness. And all of those things are valuable. All of those things keep people alive, but they are not a life. They are the shape of a life, with the inside removed. The phone rings again, 3 a.m., different city, same silence on the other end. Same low, calm voice. You already know what it is. Another mission, another name, another world you will inhabit, and then leave without a trace. Your hand hovers over the phone. And here is the question that has no answer. The one that will follow you into every room you ever enter. If you erase yourself completely in service of something greater, and no one ever knows you existed, and the world is safer because of everything you gave up, was it worth it? You pick up the phone. You don't answer the question. You never do.